2 in the afternoon on February 8th, and we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. JT, do you want to do the roll call?
Absolutely. Member Woodrow.
Here.
Member Griffith.
Present.
Member Girdman.
Present.
Vice Chair DeForest.
Present.
Member Sweeney.
Present.
Member Hartnett.
Present.
And we have Chair Weiland is going to be absent. And I am not seeing Member Jang or Member Rawson. So they are absent as well.
Thank you, JT. The first item on our agenda is to elect the chair and vice chair for the Economic Development Advisory Committee for the 2022 term. So my understanding is, go ahead, David.
Yeah, Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to nominate Becky DeForest as the chair for this year. As we all know, Becky's very involved with the Chamber of Commerce and is doing a great job there. I attend most of the board of directors meetings and she handles them well. And she's a strong contributor to this forum as well. So I have no hesitation whatsoever in nominating her to be chair.
And I'll second that.
Don't need it.
Thank you. We have one nomination on the table. Do we have any other nominations?
I think maybe we could just take the vote on that one first, Becky, and then we could move maybe to vice chair.
Okay, seeing no other nominations for the chair role for 2022, we can go ahead and vote. JT, do you want to do the vote?
Absolutely. Member Griffith.
Aye.
Member Woodrow.
Aye.
Member Girdman.
Aye.
Member Hartnett.
Aye.
Member Sweeney.
Aye.
Vice Chair DeForest.
Abstain.
All right. Member Rawson is absent. Member Jang is absent, and Chair Weiland is absent. So the motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I guess I'll continue with the rest of the meeting.
Yeah, now you have to.
And do we have any nominations for vice chair?
Madam Chairman, I nominate Tom Sweeney.
Okay, Chris Hartnett has nominated Member Sweeney for vice chair for the 2022 term. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations on the table for vice chair? Seeing none, we can go ahead and do the vote, JT.
All right. Member Woodrow.
Aye.
Member Griffith.
Aye.
Member Girdman.
Aye.
Chair DeForest.
Aye.
Member Hartnett.
Aye.
And Member Sweeney.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, item 2 on the agenda, moving on, is oral communication. This portion of the meeting is an opportunity for members of the public to address the committee on subjects relating to economic development. Do we have any oral communication today?
I have received no oral communication via email or contact to the Economic Development Office.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we can move on to item 3, the minutes. 3.1, the approval of regular meeting minutes of December 14th, 2021.
So moved.
I saw one thing that caught my eye, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong on it, but in the minutes, I didn't see JT listed anywhere as being present, and I don't know if we list you as part of the public, or we can tell you were there because you had a lot to say.
I think as a member, I mean, as an administrative, no, I should be there. So I can make the amendment to the minutes.
Okay, I'll second the minutes, but I have a comment about the minutes. So they're great minutes, but they're way too long. I think, with all of our other meetings, we do action minutes. We don't need to say who said what, she said this, they responded with that, kind of a thing. And I think it's just get to the point, because, it's taking whoever's doing the minutes, which I think it's you, JT, I don't know. It's taking you way too much time to, to spend time doing all of these minutes.
I would gladly, I would be more than happy to abridge the minutes to action minutes, and that would make my life a lot easier. So happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what
we
we'll-
love reading it. We love reading it. It's just way too much work for whoever's doing it to be doing that. They can be doing something better.
Yeah, I'm very much in favor of shortening them down too, JT. Your time is way too valuable, and you could be doing other things that are much more productive than spending time on the minutes. So action minutes make perfect sense to me.
I agree with Supervisor Woodrow and Griffith, and also having been taught how to take minutes, with all that you put in there, it just gives the even though we are transparent, it gives those that would like to shoot holes in what we're doing the distinct opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Action minutes kind of sort of take away that opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great point. The more that's on
I
there.
also have another comment. I don't think you need to have the cover page on the minutes, the draft minutes either. I think it's just the minutes, right? There's a cover page that says draft minutes, and it has all of those Zoom meeting, hybrid notice, join the Zoom meeting. It's kind of like what we get every time we have an agenda. I don't think you need to have that there, do you? I've never seen it.
don't, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you could cut that out too, and that'd be less paper that we have to copy.
Right. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
just little pointers, that's all.
No, I love it. I love it. You guys just made my life wildly easier. So thank you. We can make sure to.
No, we're going to load you up with other stuff.
Well, yeah. We've been able to free up some time. Let's just put it this way. So taxpayers can get more for their dollars.
So Member Hartnett, do you want to revise your motion?
Yes, to accept the amendment.
We have a motion on the table to
Second,
accept
I'll
the
second it. Yeah.
minutes as amended, and Supervisor Woodrow seconded. JT, can you take the roll call?
Yes, I sure can. Member Woodrow,
Aye.
Member Griffith,
Aye.
Member Gerdeman,
Aye.
Chair DeForest,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sweeney,
Aye.
Member Hartnett,
Aye.
and I do believe we have one more person joining us, but since they weren't there for the discussion, we will, motion passes, and I am just going to ask who this is. Phone number 314-1098. Can we just get a name so I can rename you?
Mary Rawson.
And Mary, just for your, just to catch you up, we just voted and approved on the minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay, and so that moves on to item 3.2, approval of meeting cancellation notice for the January 11th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so we have Frank has motioned to approve the meeting cancellation notice, and Chris Hartnett has seconded. We can go ahead and take the vote.
All right, Member Woodrow,
Aye.
Member Griffith,
Aye.
Member Gerdeman,
Aye.
Chair DeForest,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sweeney,
Aye.
Member Hartnett,
Aye.
and Member Rawson.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on to item 4, unfinished business. The first item on this part of the agenda is our recurring item, discussion and recommendations for proposed economic development and recovery initiatives for the Economic Development Director. Do we have any recommendations or discussion items? Seeing none, we will move on to item 4.2, emerging industry and technology. Do we have an Alpine Biomass Collaborative update for item 4.2.1?
Yes, I think, I can't remember what I told you the last time, but we have had a very, very preliminary conversation with Liberty Utilities and the Tahoe Fund about interest in a biomass facility in Alpine County. And without anybody making any promises, they would like to keep in touch and see how it goes. And if we come up with a developer, they want to be in on that meeting. So it's promising, but it's extremely early stage. And that's all I have on that.
Okay, thank you. And item 4.2.2, the broadband middle mile update. David.
Terry Woodrow can also chime in because she's involved in this as well. The state is moving ahead on the middle mile quicker than was anticipated, I think. As I mentioned before, one of the 18 pilot projects is in Alpine County. It's Highway 88, basically from Woodford's up to Kirkwood. Why they're doing that, I don't know, but nevertheless, they are. It's on the schedule. In March or April, they should have the list of the next projects, which will be in the queue. And they will be announcing that sometime in March or April. As far as the last mile is concerned, RCRC has a subsidiary called Golden State Connect Authority. And it will be promoting last mile. That's fiber from the middle mile to the premises or to the home. It's in the process, Golden State Connect Authority is in the process of deciding what its demonstration projects will be. Whether Alpine County will be one of those or not, I do not know at this point. It's what's called, along with the middle mile, it's open access, which means that one company will own the fiber, but then the homeowner or the business owner can contract with anybody to be their actual internet service provider. And the costs of these things in other jurisdictions are quite a bit lower than we're used to paying. So it could be very good. And I would expect in a month or two, Golden State Connect Authority will probably be making a decision as to which of the 18 projects they're considering, which 2 or 3 will be their first projects out the gate. So that's all I have on that. As an aside, the chair of Golden State Connect Authority is Supervisor Garamendi out of Calaveras County, and I'm the vice chair. So I do get to see what's going on, but I don't get to push Alpine as a priority.
That's good to have you at the table, though.
Yeah.
So
So
the project, the test project between Woodford's and Kirkwood, did you say when that was going to start, or do we know?
We don't know, but we don't know. I guess that's it.
I don't think
That's
you
the
can
easiest.
say. Yeah,
But I can tell you that the state is moving ahead, even though they haven't got all these projects lined out. They are starting to go after contracts for supplies and equipment that will be needed in the next 2 or 3 years. Knowing we've all read the papers or seen the news that, supply constraints are a big problem. And the state is actually going out, starting a month ago, lining up, thousands of miles of fiber, plus all of the electronic stuff that goes along with it. So even though I tend to be skeptical about how fast government can move, they may prove me wrong on this one.
Well, there's some incentive to moving quickly on this one. Thank you for the update. David, did you want to add anything, Terry?
Just one
No,
thing. Oh,
he
sorry.
covered it.
Just one other thing. If any of you are really stuck for high-speed broadband, if you've got a clear view of the northern and southern skies, Starlink is now available in this area, And the people who have signed up already in Alpine County, provided they've got a clear view of the southern and northern skies, are reporting spectacular speeds. That will not last as more people sign up. But in the meantime, it's a lot better than what you can get for Frontier. It's more expensive as well, but
It is.
if it works for you, and you can download an app from their website, which will tell you whether or not you've got a good enough view of the sky. And if you go ahead and order their antenna and install it and it doesn't work, they'll give you your money back. So it's a temporary solution for the next 2 or 3 years.
So can I talk on that a little bit? So the condos that I manage, Silver Mountain, so 2 folks have signed up for that, but even though it looks like there's absolutely clear view, there isn't. And so they do have an interruption. And so we're trying to figure out, how to make it better. We're going to get a lift and try to put it up on top of the roof, which is like 4 stories up, kind of a thing. But people are reporting that they get good reception, but just not here in this particular location in Bear Valley right now.
Okay. Good information. Thank you.
Couple of questions, Madam Chairman.
Yes, Chris, go ahead.
David, do you know, or Terry, do you know whether or not let's call it the trunk line up Highway 88 to Kirkwood is going to be undergrounded? And based upon what was reported to the Board of Supervisors, is the contractor going to be required to put in additional empty conduit up the same corridor, or are they going to hang the fiber on the existing Liberty Utility poles?
I don't know, but Caltrans is the contractor. And
Oh, good.
I believe that the intent is that it be underground, but
Yes.
I don't know for sure.
Okay. And being that Caltrans is the contractor, pretty much we can assume additional conduit will be added for future installation?
I haven't heard anything about that. I do know
Oh, but-
that in any construction that is done in the state by the state of California today does require conduit be installed for future fiber. And even though we haven't got that as a formal policy yet in the county, all supervisors, whenever a contract comes up for a bridge or anything, that's the first question they ask. So it is in the contract that's being signed for the Hot Springs Bridge.
Yep.
It's in the contract for the bridge replacement over Markleyville Creek that Caltrans will be doing. I do recall the same discussion on the repaving of the first half of Hot Springs Road as well. If you do hear or see any contracts coming by the county, it never hurts to remind us, in case we forget, which is unlikely, but nevertheless, to remind us that we need to have conduit installed so that when the fiber comes, it's got a place to go.
Okay. Next question, being that the individual homeowners are going to be affected if they want to be, because that's the option that's open. They can stay with the current hardwire, or they could go to fiber or Cat 6. Will the homeowners that will be potentially affected be consulted in a group so that they can all hear what the proposal is, or is it going to be done homeowner by homeowner?
At this point, I don't know. The last mile, which is what you're talking about, is not a state project. That's Golden State Connect Authority project. And I imagine it will be done through a bulk mailing in the area, advertising. I will probably learn a lot more in March. We're going to meet with the contractor in Utah. It's called Utopia, that has the equivalent of the Utah equivalent of a joint powers agreement. And they are at the moment our favored contractor for coming in, and somebody who knows what they're doing on this stuff, to how they did it in Utah, Will it work the same here? I don't know, but they've been very successful there with rural broadband.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I can't give you a more definite answer.
Well, and David, at this stage, from what you reported, the questions were just out there so that when you go back to this group that you are involved in, maybe they could be fleshed out.
Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions for David or Terry? That rolls us right into JT with the NeoConnect Central Sierra Broadband Roadmap update.
Yeah, just a couple of quick updates, and this actually kind of ties into the Central Sierra Economic Development District. But we have contracted, they're called NeoConnect. The direct contact is Diane Cruz, and she is conducting a broadband roadmap in which they're gonna, kind of identify all needs for broadband services within the 5-county region. And the kind of most important thing that they're working on right now is trying to solicit as many survey responses as they can from all of the different regions to kind of understand what the needs are from a ground level, kind of granular level. And we have been working with them to kind of get some public outreach. So I'm just going to share my screen and show a couple quick things, and then we'll can move the meeting along. So first, we did get some media coverage about the broadband survey on the eastern side. So I was excited to hear and see in the Record Courier that they have placed this, and they do a thing called the RC Morning update. And we were identified, as well as the link that takes you to the Central Sierra broadband website. And this is really kind of the catch-all for the Central Sierra broadband effort. And once you go to the website, you can click the survey button and roll down into here, and then go ahead and conduct the survey. Take the survey. And so just a reminder for, this committee, as well as any of the residents that you come into contact with on a daily basis, to encourage them to head to this website, provide their input, and assist us in understanding kind of the real needs and the granular needs of the county for the Central Sierra broadband roadmap. So that is my update there, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll stop sharing.
David, go ahead.
Yeah, JT, one comment and one related question. The related question is, how are we coming on a dig once policy?
A dig once policy as it relates to community development.
As it relates to,
Yeah, like the county, right?
County, yeah.
Yeah, so we're currently looking into the dig once policies in other counties, and to try to have something to be applicable to Alpine County. At the pleasure of you and Terry, we could try to present that at the next EDAC meeting for feedback, or we can take it directly to the board for review. I'm guessing the dig once policy, it will obviously be included within the policies of community development for building and planning. So of course we'd need to take that to the planning commission as well. So I would say hopefully we can have that tooled up here in the next couple weeks and have something ready to present.
Great. And the comment I've got is, with everything going on in broadband so quickly, I'm not sure that this NeoConnect study is going to move us ahead. It's may have been passed by events. Not much we can do about that, but just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I agree with you. I think that the overall momentum of the state as it relates to rolling out these projects, and these projects are funded. So now just trying to get shovels in the dirt. It's kind of one of those, by the time we're done planning, the project will be done. But I do think at the very least, this will provide us some data as to the gaps and needs within the community that hopefully we can work on advocacy as this information starts to get presented. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with you that once this roadmap gets rolled out, we'll need a new roadmap.
JT, how long are they collecting survey responses?
That is a good question. I don't think that I have an exact ending date. Let me see if I can't find something on the homepage about a survey deadline. I do have one more thing to add. And so To your first question, I do not have an answer as to when the survey is going to be completed. But I would also like to share my screen one more quick time. And there are going to be some webinars that are going to be conducted in the community. And these are the webinar dates. They're on the homepage of the Central Sierra Broadband website. So you can see there's one today at 5:30, one tomorrow at noon, and then on the 16th of February at 5:30, and on the 17th at noon. And each one of these webinars is going to have the same information in it. So really trying to provide, I'm sorry, it's not, it's discussion based. So this one obviously focus on business, nonprofits, and anchor institutions. This one central around the roadmap, this one central around the roadmap, and this one central around the roadmap. So if you did have a focus of business, nonprofit, or anchor institutions, like Becky, for example, like the chamber, it might be a good idea to attend the one on the 9th. But I think the other three are generalized to the overall broadband roadmap.
I would like to try to attend that one. I don't know if you know, JT, do we have that, I just drew a blank, the charter organization for the bicycle safety? Are you involved with that?
No, I
With
don't.
Caltrans and Calaveras County and the bicycle. Okay. Anyway, I'll talk to you later about it.
Okay.
But there might be a conflict in those meeting times. So
Okay. Well, I can try to attend the one tomorrow for the anchor institutions, and then maybe you and I can just connect back and compare notes.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think the anchor institutions, that's schools, libraries, county governments, hospitals, big users.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank
Madam
you.
Chairman, a comment?
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
For the past 4 years, there have been strong rumors that Frontier is going to fold up shop in Gardnerville and Frontier is going to go out of business. It's not something that is outlandish. They did the same thing in Hawaii several years ago. With this broadband coming to Alpine County and the state, and I applaud all the work that's being done and hope that it actually comes to fruition. Is the county prepared for the fact that when people move to the broadband and no longer share phone and data across the phone line, this will give Frontier an additional avenue to go to suspend service to the mountain communities that they supply right now. And it will devastate people that live by the phone. So it's something to be considered.
Yeah.
Good point, Chris. Thank you.
Hmm?
Do we have any other comments on that item? Or thoughts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. That does segue, JT, into the Central Sierra Economic Development District. JT and Terry, do you have any updates on that item?
Yeah. So Terry, do you want me to lead off, or do you want to lead off?
Sure. No, that's fine. You can
Yeah,
lead
so
off.
the most recent updates from the recent Central Sierra Economic Development District meeting, board meeting, is we did make a selection for the SEDS to be conducted for the Central Sierra region. So that's exciting, and we're looking forward to starting that process. And it is going to be Cal State Chico that will be conducting the SEDS, and working closely with both Derek Kirk and Melinda Matson at EDA, and just kind of aligning all of the efforts of the Central Sierra Economic Development District. So, excited to start that project and to get that underway. Again, we've already talked about the Central Sierra Broadband Initiative, which is currently underway. Tuolumne County, Cole, Prisbilla is the one that's really kind of leading that charge as it relates to working directly with NeoConnect. And so we have ongoing weekly planning meetings with NeoConnect to kind of determine where they are in the process, what needs they have with the county, and how we can support those needs. Really, as it stands right now, the biggest support we can do is that public outreach and information as it relates to the survey. And then we do have one other project going on, and that's the Central Sierra biomass effort, in which they're looking to get the Cal Frame grant secured to do the analyzing of the woody feedstock project, locations, feasibility along those lines. So there's a lot going on in the Central Sierra, and definitely want to give Terry an opportunity, because I guarantee there's something I missed in there.
Well, the only other thing was that SURF, Community Economic Resilience Fund Regional Planning Grant. We discussed that, and we got lumped in with the Eastern Sierra region, which includes all of the counties that are in our Central Sierra Economic Development District, but it also, the 5 counties, but it also includes Inyo and Mono. So we were just kind of talking about how that was gonna work, and this grant is kind of on a fast-paced timeline. So I'm not really sure. And apparently Inyo and Mono reached out and wrote a letter and said that they wanted to be with Alpine and Inyo and Mono. I don't know where that's gone. We were supposed to get a copy of that letter. I haven't got it from Dave Taney yet, but we certainly need to stick together, and being with those other 2 counties, we wouldn't have enough population to really matter, because it's broken up into 13 sections throughout California, and our 7 counties, even though we're a low populated area, it's good to stick together. And the Central Sierra Economic Development District is a good center point for that. So I guess we're going to be discussing that at our next meeting too. And Dave Taney, our coordinator or director for that, was going to reach out and get some more parameters on that. Yeah, David.
JT, did I hear you mention Derek Kirk?
Yeah.
I think he's being promoted and is no longer.
Yeah,
there.
I'm sorry. He's, obviously.
He was at our meeting though.
Yeah, he's kind of assisted us, as I think he's got one foot in and one foot out, not out the door, but up the ladder. And I do believe they haven't designated our new representative yet. Terry, do you know if?
No, they haven't, but Derek just loves to chime in and tell us how we're wrong or this, that, or the other. He's kind of like Mr. Professor, and we all go, okay, fine. So I'm glad that we're going to be getting somebody else. Yeah. He's like
Now
Mr.
that he's
Know-it-all.
moving onward and upward. Huh?
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, thanks for the updates. I had a question. Who did our previous sets? You said at Cal State Chico.
So it was Cal State Chico, and that was the one that Melinda Matson said was fine. And then later on, because of some controversy between her and our former executive director, she decided that she didn't like it. And but apparently this new Cal State Chico group is a whole new group, and she's totally supportive of it. And it's all new people, and she thinks it's great and was encouraging us to go with them. So even though last time she said it was a terrible SEDS, this time she thinks it's going to be great.
Well, I'm sure
those are my comments.
Well, I wasn't involved in that at all, but after I read it, after it was finished, long after it was finished, I kind of agree with her. It was a terrible SEDS.
No, but she said it was, we have documentation that she said it was fine before.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know, it just kind of took a political turn.
Yeah, I was just curious. Okay. Moving on to item 4.3.2, visit California High Sierra updates. JT and myself, I can, JT, if you want, I can go ahead and provide an update on the High Sierra Visitors Council. As you all know, we joined the High Sierra Visitors Council a couple of months ago, and we're already seeing a lot of traction with projects that they're working on our behalf. One of them is working with Miles Partnership on a Google optimization program. Right now, we're focusing on Alpine County as a whole, but in March, there will be 2 work group sessions to assist businesses. And David, Tom's not on here anymore, but Chris might be interested. I think that might be a good resource for nonprofits that have websites and a presence online also. So we'll get the information out to everybody as to when those training dates are going to be. And again, it's how to optimize your Google profile so that when you're found online, we look as good as possible. I am working with them on trying to get high quality photos and 360 images for our top sites in Alpine County. It's a little bit of a challenge because they want those rights free, and we don't have a lot of rights free high quality images. But we're working on that. And if any of you have some in your toolkits that you'd be willing to share with us, I'd like to get those from you. So feel free to pass them on. That would be a big help. And then they have contracted with Local Freshies to work on some blog articles, and they're a group out of Southlake, I believe. And what they're doing is they'll put together little articles about outdoor adventure all up and down the Central Sierra and Eastern, well, both sides of the Sierras. And they've been really, really good about including Alpine County in their content now. So on a regular basis, I'm getting requests from them to review what they've written about us and asking us for photos and imagery to paint our picture well. So it's been a really productive partnership with the High Sierra Visitors Council, and I'm excited to see where that's going to take us.
Yeah, just to kind of add on to what Becky said, oftentimes when we join these groups or these collaboratives, still being the smallest county, it's always hard to feel like, you're getting your fair share, we're getting proper representation. And since day one joining High Sierra, they have been really, really advocating for Alpine County, and definitely feel like it's a strong partnership, and very excited to, watch that grow and watch that foundation build.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I had for that. Any questions or comments on that piece? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4.4, farming, forestry, and natural resources. Discussion on trends and opportunities regarding forestry, farming, and natural resources. JT.
Yeah, so Chair DeForest, with your approval, I'd like to move to 4.4.1.1 and talk about the update on community gardens and controlled environment agriculture.
Unless we have any objections, we can go ahead and move forward. Go ahead, JT.
So, this is actually very exciting. So just to kind of catch us up where we were on the last discussion of the indoor controlled environment agriculture is I have since reached out to the controlled environment agriculture company called Local Bounty that's looking to house their new facility in Douglas County, to ask them for a meeting to just really introductory, talk about options and opportunities. Unfortunately, have not heard back from them. In addition to that, I did reach out to Bentley, and the, if people aren't familiar, Bentley is one of the largest landowners in the Carson Valley, but also on the forefront of progressive agriculture and innovative agriculture, and to kind of see if there is any interest in moving into the controlled environment agriculture space. Unfortunately, they said that that's not something they're necessarily interested in right now. They're trying to focus all of their attention on growing crops specific to their alcohol production. So if you do like Bentley alcohol, then that's good news for you, but unfortunate news for us. But we did have a very good conversation yesterday with Glenda from the University of California Cooperative Extension. And I got lucky enough where I got to share a breakout session with her at the California Economic Summit, and talk about someone that just has a passion and understanding for agriculture in the state of California, and really just knows how to connect the dots and get people excited about programs like 4-H, programs like Master Gardener. And one of the big conversations that we have, which dovetailed off of one of the main reasons I wanted to go down to the California Economic Summit, was the controlled environment agriculture opportunities. And when I mentioned that in our meeting yesterday, her ears perked up, her eyes went wide, and she said, I think that this could be a great opportunity for some collaboration between the UC system, the cooperative extension, as well as Alpine County to look into the feasibility of something to this effect. So very preliminary discussions with the UC cooperative extension. They have already identified one of their, I believe they're called advisors, that's going to be located in the Central Sierra for the Central Sierra Economic Development District's Woody Feedstock Program. But there's also some additional conversations about potentially getting an advisor or an assistant advisor to potentially come up and talk feasibility as it relates to controlled environment agriculture. And so I think that to have a partner like the University Cooperative Extension, obviously, a strong history through UC Davis in agriculture. I would say one of the best in the United States as far as their abilities to understand and predict and adapt to this change in environment. But to have them as a strategic partner, I think would be very beneficial. So we're going to continue those discussions, probably have a follow-up meeting here in the next week or 2 weeks with their local director who oversees the advisors in the region, and then continue the conversation with Glenda to see if we can get an advisor out here to further kind of suss out the opportunities for the project. And so that's what I got as far as an update.
Well, that's great. Glenda has always been trying to make something happen here, either with 4-H or what you're talking about. So this would be a great opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, she's very passionate,
Yes,
about those
about
programs and about Alpine too, which was awesome to hear. And so hopefully we can leverage some of that excitement. And we're also looking to break it off into potentially, maybe this advisor comes up and they, shift responsibilities. So there might be some 4-H, there might be some master gardener, there might be some application to controlled environment agriculture. But of course, there's a cost involved with having an advisor housed within the county. You have cost shares either with salaries or facilities or both. And so really trying to understand if the cost benefit analysis works, and if there could be potentials where that individual could bring more in grant funding than they would cost the county. But of course, those discussions need to be flushed out in greater detail. And sorry, David, I know I just kept going on a tangent.
It's okay. I do the same. Couple of things. The school does have a 4-H program. And I think they're intending to beef it up. So I don't know anything about it, but it was in their minutes of one of their board meetings, and I noticed that they were stressing it. So that's one thing. The other thing is sort of a related topic. We've talked a little bit before about the possibility of having a tree nursery here. And because there's obviously a great need for tree seedlings with all of the, not just with the tamarack fire, but all the fires we're probably going to have in the future as well. I've had some very preliminary discussions with people that know something about that business. I'm hoping to get a meeting together. There's at least one individual in the county that is following up with CAL FIRE's offer of up to $1 million in a grant to start a nursery. Where that will go, I don't know, but they are following up. I did also have a quick conversations with Glenda Humison some month or two ago, and that's on her list as well. Tree nurseries, they can provide some technical help. So to me, I think it's a great economic development opportunity. This is an idea that first came from Andy Lovell, the Alpine Trails Association. He was thinking of a volunteer effort, and I don't want to do anything that would discourage that. So I need to check back with him and make sure that he still has come to the conclusion that it's not something he wants to take on before we push hard on it. But I'll keep you informed as it goes. And if we can get some of these people who have good experience with tree nurseries, maybe we can make something out of it. I know the Alpine Watershed Group discussed this at their last board of directors meeting and decided it wasn't something that they could pursue. And that's partly because there were a couple of people on their board of directors who had run nurseries, not tree nurseries, but had run nurseries, and knew how much work was involved, and there was no way they were going to be able to take it on. So, and my idea of it is that it would be a business, a for-profit, hopefully a for-profit business, but it could be a nonprofit. And I've had some very, very preliminary conversations also with the Bureau of Land Management. And there's a good chance that we could get some land from them under the, I think it's a recreation and public benefit program. So not something that's going to happen this week, but I'll keep pushing until I hit a wall.
Yeah, and thank you, David, for reminding me. That was another topic of conversation, was the tree nursery with, you know, in conjunction, you know, with discussion of the controlled environment agriculture. And Glenda was also very excited about that as well.
They go together. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah, one cool small aside, and then I'll quit flapping my gums. But you know, one cool project I worked on back when I worked with the Tahoe Fund is UC Davis, or it was a UC Cooperative Extension, sent people up to the sugar pine forest in Lake Tahoe and actually harvested beetle-resistant sugar pine seeds off of the trees, and actually brought them back down to UC Davis and cultivated them into seedlings. And then they've since been replanted in some of the burn areas that have experienced fire within the basin. And so it's exciting to see that kind of technology and innovation happening within the agriculture space.
I have a really dumb question, because I hear bits and pieces of things sometimes. But when Brian Hansen was talking about the grant funds that were approved for partly for Alpine County last week at the supervisors meeting, did he mention that is that where I heard it, that the Washoe Tribe would be getting a portion of that funding for a nursery of some kind?
Yeah, and I think that, you know, there needs to, and we can talk a little bit more about that grant further on in the agenda. But, you know, right now it's a lot of fact finding and looking through paperwork and defining truly how these funds can be used. And hopefully we can really kind of dive into that at the Board of Supervisors meeting next week, and, you know, kind of determine where our availability is to spend these funds in the best way possible.
Okay, any other comments on that item? We'll go ahead and move on to item 4.5, housing and workforce development. Frank and JT, any updates on workforce development initiatives?
Not at this time. I think there will be, maybe not the next meeting, but shortly after, as the college's forestry program takes a little better shape. So with that, I think I'll suggest we move on to 4.5.1.1.
All right, that's JT. Update on the draft housing element and the next steps.
All right. So as you may or may not be aware, the county is currently in the process of putting revisions into the housing element and drafting the new 5-year housing element. Unfortunately, the 5-year housing element really goes from 2019 to 2024. So we're a little late in the process, trying to move through the process in the most efficient way possible. But of course, I think the most important thing that we've identified through this process is the need for additional community input and revisions to make sure that the housing element draft represents the county's needs and the residents' needs as it relates to housing. So I just want to, I won't dive into the housing element, but I just want to show a couple of good resources for people to place their attention to. And let me just share my screen real quick. So on the website at Alpine County, we do have the housing element up, the draft housing element up for review. So you can see the available link is located here. And what we're encouraging folks to do is to look through the housing element and really identify questions, concerns, needed revisions, because what we're doing is we have a document, and that document has tracked changes based on the revisions requested. And the way that the process goes is we receive feedback and recommended revisions from both the Planning Commission, the Board of Supervisors, And based on those revisions, we take that track change document, we submit it to HCD. HCD then goes in and they have 90 days to review the document. And then what they do is they provide their feedback. And from what I've gathered, both from staff and as well as our housing element consultant, is they're pretty detailed and pretty harsh. So we want to be as harsh as we can and detailed as we can in the initial review process, to try to make this thing as effective and efficient as possible when we do send it to HCD. And then those comments will come back with the HCD revised draft. We will take that back to the Planning Commission and back to the board for subsequent adoption. So we're still, I would say, if we're talking about a 4-quarter ball game, we're not even at halftime yet. And we still have a lot of work to do, and we still want a lot of community input involved. And so again, you know, I've said this a couple of times, but our goal is not to get the housing element done, it's to get it right and get it done. We appreciate everybody's patience as we kind of figure out the best process to solicit this feedback and get this feedback. And it's our hope to have another opportunity for public input in addition to input from Alpine County staff and leadership before this is obviously submitted to HCD. So still a long ways to go. Appreciate everybody's efforts up to this point. And if you do have a draft with revisions that you've made, feel free, you can send that to me. You can send it to our Deputy Director of CDA, Candace Stoll, and we will take those and add those to the overall revised draft. And at that point, I'll stop sharing and answer any questions you may have.
JT, I have a quick one, and I understand this started in 2019, but I'm wondering if there's been any thought given to incorporating some of the 2020 census data. And I asked because up here in Tahoe, we're working on a project where we've done that, and we've actually started to see some of the early impact of COVID and remote work in the population swings by including that. So I don't know if that's worth considering for you and the county supervisors.
Yeah, I feel that we need to include and crunch the most valid and up-to-date data that we have. So, you know, anything that could assist in pointing us to trends or communicating impacts, I think would be valuable. So we'll definitely make that recommendation to the housing consultant. And
Madam
I do
Chairman,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
Madam Chairman, a comment?
Go ahead, Chris.
I attended the, let's call it public forum for the housing element about 2 weeks ago. And I'm not going to address my comments to the entire county because I'll be free to offer that I don't know as much about the rest of the county as I do about Markleyville, Markley Village, Shea Creek, and some Woodfords and the Mesa. This has to do with infrastructure availability. For those of us that have lived here for a while, the amount of electricity that's coming into Alpine County is about 90% capacity for NV Energy and Liberty Utilities, unless Liberty Utilities finally gets off of its rear end and brings a second circuit in here from Lake Tahoe. They can do it. They just want to drag their feet. If we add these additional, I understand we're not talking about urban sprawl here, but the more people that are given the opportunity to move here and draw on the limited amount of electricity we have, it's already fragile. And unless something is done, more people living here is going to tax what we've got. Number two, addressed to Markleyville, Markley Village. I don't know anymore what the capacity of the Markleyville Public Utility District sewer system is, but at one time it was over 75% of capacity. Again, if we don't pay attention to the amount of capacity we've got and more people moving here and structures built, we could easily reach capacity of the MPUD, and then we're in a real problem. And then lastly is water. I brought this up to the housing element people that were at that conducted the meeting. The Markleyville Water Company cannot support any new housing development of any type in Markley Village or Markleyville beyond what we've already committed to. And a few years ago, Ed James from the Carson Water Conservancy showed some maps to the Board of Supervisors concerning what's called the alluvial fan, which is how the wells are supported on the Mesa and Woodfords. And during that report and somewhat after, some of the wells on the lower end of Mesa Vista and River Ranch had dropped, the well casing height had dropped substantially in the last drought. So those are infrastructure issues that, even though this housing element seems to be of a need, infrastructure is also something that needs to be paid attention to. That's it.
Thank you, Chris. And David has a comment.
Yeah, Chris, in the first part of the housing element, they don't really refer to the infrastructure problems, but buried in the background section, which goes on for far too many pages, it does document not all, but most of the points that you mentioned as limitations, specifically the Markleyville Water Company, Markleyville Public Utility District. I don't recall it talking about Liberty Utilities, but at least some of those things that you mentioned are in the background section. Unfortunately,
And
it's
thank you, David. I did look at that also.
Okay, good.
Go ahead, JT.
Yeah, and I also echo, both Chris's comments and David's comments. I think infrastructure is key. You can't build a glass house, or you can't build it out of sticks, or you can't build it on a dump. You got to build it in the right place with the right infrastructure, with the right access. And so when I think about it in my mind, it's like infrastructure first, and then, let's think about the other pieces to the puzzle. We do have two more quick updates. The first update is we are excited that we will be bringing on a new BHS director. That BHS director is coming to us from another county with a significant experience in housing. So they're also going to be the BHS director and housing director for the county. So I think that's very exciting. We're obviously going to be, kind of tied at the hip with community development planning and this housing director as we kind of try to identify the best way to obviously take a finalized housing element and apply it to Alpine County in an efficient way. And then the second piece of information that I had is we have identified potentially a partner and a consultant called Mammoth Lakes Housing. I believe they're going to be changing their name to Eastern Sierra Housing or something to that effect. And we'll be working with them. They are more so kind of a conduit that connects development with housing initiatives and housing projects. They kind of know how to navigate that space from funding, identification, planning, execution, and framing these the appropriate way so that we can ensure there's deed restrictions versus other limitations on specific properties. So those are just a couple extra updates on housing.
Thank you, JT. Any other questions or comments on housing and workforce development? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4.6, policy news and updates. I know there's a few names on there on the agenda to speak to these, but I think it's pretty much open to anybody that has any updates that we should be aware of in terms of policies that affect economic development. David.
Just one thing so that people are aware of it. The Forest Service has always told us, they don't have enough resources. They can't do this, they can't do that. And we get told that about the Tamarack fire as well. Well, when the Vice President Harris was here about 3 weeks ago, she announced that there was $600 million for California for essentially restoration after the various fires this last year. It's going to be administered through Region 5, but I have asked, and the Tamarack fire does qualify, although it's in Region 4, the Humboldt-Abbey. So in terms of restoration after the Tamarack fire, hopefully after the Washington fire too, there should be enough money. But our experience with Humboldt Abbey is they have to be pushed on these things. So I just want to make sure that people are aware that they can't use the excuse that they don't have enough resources, because there is enough money coming in the pipeline to do this work. And that's all I have.
How would we stay abreast of where that's at in the process so that we can speak up when needed?
Anytime you catch our Carson Ranger District, our Carson District Ranger, ask him how much of that 600 million he's applied for. Yeah, I will certainly be pushing them on that, and I've given them the contacts in Region 5, and through the various forums that I attend and Forest Health and so on like that, I'll have lots of opportunity, and I, depending on how things are going, I may even be asking the Board of Supervisors to write a letter up the command chain to make sure it doesn't get dropped.
That sounds delightful.
Yeah, what you got going on back there? Who's got the music?
Any other policy news and updates?
I don't have anything.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to fire recovery. Discussion and updates from Alpine County regarding Tamarack and Caldor fire recovery. Any updates from the group? I know I don't have any.
I can just I'll give a quick update just on fire recovery, and then we can talk more about the state and private forestry. So you guys might see a helicopter that will be taken off from the airport here on the east side, and they're going to be doing some aerial seeding on the BLM land. So BLM is out there. They were going to start flying today, but unfortunately, I guess the helicopter broke. So hopefully we'll see them up in the air soon. But yeah, just want to give people a heads up. If you do see, a helicopter going around, it's not cause for concern, it's cause for celebration. They're out there doing some aerial reseeding.
That's great. And do you want to go ahead and move on, JT, to the state and private forestry grant update?
Yeah, so I'll just reference the packet. It starts really on packet page 19, but just to catch everybody up on what this is, we were contacted by Brian Hansen from the Forest Service stating that there could be some funds available for Tamarack fire recovery. And it was kind of a very abbreviated opportunity. He didn't have a lot of information on it. And he said, please put together a list of information based on impacts and asks from the local community for fire recovery. So we solicited input, and we put together, a brief list that can be found. I accidentally went full screen. And that kind of list that was submitted can be found starting on packet page 19. So you have, trail and trail components repair, recreation facility repair, road and bridge repair, hazardous material waste and debris on private parcels. And these parcels starting on packet page 20 and going through 22 are specific parcels identified by APN that have submitted efforts that they're taking on for the recovery effort and costs associated with those. So based on that, we had basically a batch of funding that we asked for based on those numbers. And then, some of the other ones, leased facility repair, watershed restoration, and communication sites. So based on that request, we heard back from Brian Hansen, and you can see the email starts, it starts after packet page 23. And that email is from Dana Walsh. She's the program manager for the state and private forestry. And really kind of emphasizing that they want to move forward as quickly as possible to process this grant and to get the funding out. It's a 5-year grant program. We're going to be receiving $1,815,000. In addition to that, we are going to ask the Board of Supervisors that they approve state and local forestry, including an additional $15,000 of funding for Grover State Park to be distributed by Alpine County to the state park. I think it's just easier for administration for them on the back end. We will have 5 years for program delivery. They're really looking at a 4-year implementation with an additional year buffer. And the information that we're going to need to disseminate really is the checklist, the grant guidelines, where we can spend this money, how we can spend this money. And I just received this information early last week, so I'm still processing it, and hopefully I will have something a bit more concrete to provide the Board of Supervisors at the meeting next week, in which we can kind of define what pots of money we can utilize these funds for, and ensuring they go to their highest and best use. I do know there are some limitations. I don't want to speak to those limitations off the top of my head right now, because I guarantee you I will probably get that incorrect. But at this point in time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Chris.
does this application to the U.S. Forester Service, is this also including the, let's call it, requests from the Markleyville Water Company to fix our collection gallery?
That I am not exactly sure, Chris. I did meet with Mary, in which she did provide me a request amount. I believe the Markleyville Water Company requested $500,000 for restoration and reforestation of the Mustard Jarvis watershed, including program management, environmental studies and permits, compliance, seeding, felling, slashing, tree planting, and stream corridor stabilization. So that was the request that we got from Mary. And I will say, I do not believe, per Brian's comments, that we would be able to utilize those funds for that purpose. I could be wrong, which is why I need some more time, but I just encourage everybody to attend the Board of Supervisors meeting coming up, where I'll be able to digest this information. I think provide some much more concrete outline and outlay and timeline of what we're looking to do and what we're looking to accomplish. But I think the general story is, this is great news. Is it all the funding we need? No. But is it, better than nothing? Absolutely. And so again, we're just going to really move efficiently and not quickly to make sure that we are able to distribute these funds in the best way possible.
I just want to say kudos to JT for making this happen, because it was a really quick turnaround, and he did a great job of compiling as much information from our local partners as possible to get our request in. So it's a unique opportunity, and we maybe don't know exactly how we can use the money yet. There's a lot of detail in there, but we got the money, and that's definitely a good thing for us. So good problems to have, how to spend it.
Yeah, thank you, Becky. And yeah, finally a good problem to have.
Okay. Do we have a debris cleanup update?
No debris cleanup update at this point in time. The only update I have as far as that was considered was the aerial reseeding.
Okay. Okay, so moving on to item 4.8, 4.8.1, discussion and direction regarding grant opportunities for Alpine County. Do we have anything new coming down the pipe to be discussed?
I don't think I have anything new coming down the pipe to discuss. So mainly the state and forestry grant.
Okay. And item 4.8.1.1, David, discussion and possible direction to staff regarding the Community Economic Resilience Fund.
I really don't know anything about it. I've attended the various meetings and I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Terry
same here.
Woodrow mentioned this earlier, how we're part of a 7-county region, and Inyo and or perhaps Mono want to grab us and go in our separate direction, but I haven't got a clue. So unfortunately, I will have a clue, but at the moment I have not figured it out, and frankly, I don't think the state has either.
No.
We will stay tuned then. Item 4.9, marketing, events, and communication. 4.9.1 is discussion and update on marketing campaigns for Alpine County. JT, do you want to go?
Yeah, maybe I'll tee it off and then you can throw some lead guitar on my rhythm. Becky and I have been trying to put our heads together about leveraging our respective funds, but also leveraging our partners to be able to get more information out about Alpine County and really try to drive multiple different efforts. The first one is my selfish reasoning is to attract employees to Alpine County. And then in addition to that, we wanted to tell the story of what it's like to live and work in Alpine County, and the type of spirit that it takes and the type of individual that, you know, enjoys that experience. And so in kind of our brainstorming, we came together with some marketing campaigns, some video campaigns that we're going to embark on. So it's going to be a promotional video series. You can see it starts on packet page 38. And what it is it's, you know, kind of three main chunks. The first one is called the Spirit of Alpine video. And it's using interviews of 5 different residents with diverse interests and backgrounds. And it's going to highlight the opportunities, resources, and appeal of Alpine County, kind of like a through the eyes look from the residents' perspective. And really just kind of communicates truly what it is to have the spirit of Alpine, which we feel lives in all of us. The second is profile videos. So 1 minute in length. We want to do 5 of these videos to kind of build and cascade into one another. And these videos are going to focus on a community member interviewed for the larger project, the Spirit of Alpine, but really kind of doing a little bit more focus on their individual lifestyle, recreational opportunities, and culture to really kind of highlight the variety and depth of the folks that live and work in Alpine County. And then the third one, and this is still, I think, that we're working on, is kind of a community fundraiser video. And that is still kind of in, I think, draft stages. And we may have refined this proposal since the last meeting, but you can see the project objectives, what we're looking to accomplish as far as shots, to kind of really comprehensively address Alpine County from a visual standpoint, and then also from a content standpoint. And I got to say that, you know, the individual we're working with, his name's Joe Pilgrim, is one of the best in the business. And if you guys would like, I can either do one of 2 things. I do have a video queued up, kind of what really was inspirational to us in embarking on this project. And it was done by the Tahoe Forest Health System, and Joe was the creator of this project. Or sometimes it's hard to see these videos through screen share. I can go ahead and send that link and you can watch it at your leisure, because yeah, David's kind of giving me a yes, because I feel that the video never comes across properly. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in the chat and turn it over to Becky for some additional information.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe you could put his website link in the chat so they could see the variety of videos.
Absolutely.
It is Job's got his hands full with us this year, because we're also contracting with him to do a death ride promotional video. So we have 4 cyclists lined up who've done the death ride multiple times, that are going to tell their stories about why they ride, how they train, how people can help prepare, or how people can prepare themselves for it, and just bring a little more to the table in our marketing activities to get the word out about the ride, and in alignment with the concept of Alpine and what it is to be Alpine. We're trying to kind of integrate the death ride and the different activities that people can do while they're here, in with that idea and that concept. So he's got a lot of work that we're going to be sending his way, but he does great work, and we're excited to have him on board. We did, with my board of directors and some guidance from one of our chamber members, actually has a high quality marketing firm in the Bay Area that's done a lot of pretty big project work over the years. He helped us kind of go through a branding campaign, and JT was present for that. And so as a result of that, a branding workshop, excuse me, as a result of that, we've come up with a manifesto of sorts that I think it would be nice to start teasing out, maybe with this group, to get feedback and input, and see how we do rolling it out. It's pretty exciting to me to have something that tells our story to somebody who doesn't know where Alpine County is or what there is to do here, or really anything about us. It's kind of a personification of what Alpine is. So that's part of this whole branding campaign that we've been working on with a lot of different touch points and activities. But I know I've been focusing on quite a few of them lately, and I know JT has been too. So some behind the scenes stuff that's happening that's good stuff out there. What else did I want to say about marketing? Our visitors guide. We did not print a visitors guide in 2021 because we had so many left over from the COVID year of 2020. So we're well overdue for a visitors guide, and we're working with our publisher on really revamping the look and feel of it. It will be the same size that I've seen the initial draft, and we're hopefully finalizing that this week. And I'm really excited about it, you guys. It's going to be great. We have some great photographers that have contributed for the guide. I have Vail and Bear Valley Resort that have both contributed some really high quality imagery for it. So I'm excited to see where it's going. And we hope to have that in hand by mid-March if the supply chain issues and shipping issues don't get in the way. So those are the big things that I can think of right now.
Yeah, and just
Comment, Madam Chairman?
oh, go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thank you. In this Alpine County promotional video, has there been contemplation to include the heritage tourism guided tour through town so that people can get the flavor of what this town, how this county evolved?
So not so much from a tour perspective. It would be a great tie-in, I think, as we roll out the different components of the video. Because how we're doing it is we're doing some interviews kind of gradually as we can pull people together and as we can get the videographers time. And we'll be rolling out small segments of this video into our marketing campaigns over the course of the next, probably, I can imagine at least a couple of years, if we have enough content to work with. So the tour video itself or that concept isn't necessarily part of this particular piece, but I think it's a great point to make in terms of we can take that and couple it with some of these smaller tidbit components that we're developing and make even another venue to get the word out.
Yes, ma'am. There are people that look into the historic origins of the place they want to live, and that may be quite helpful. And heritage tourism does a lot for making this county aware of people coming to this county aware of where we came from.
Absolutely. Good point. Thank you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
David?
I can see some interesting discussions depending on who you pick for your profiles. It might make sense, although I'm sure this is going to get some pushback, but it might make sense in terms of trying to think, and this is not just for me, but for the broader community, what kind of a community we want to be, what kind of people do we want to attract, and then pick the profiles that will reinforce that. Maybe that's too much. I don't know.
Well, David, to your point, this kind of ties into what Becky was talking about the manifesto. And the idea is that, we are Alpine, not we come to live in Alpine for this, or that we travel to Alpine for this, or that we live in Alpine for this, but Alpine lives within us. And really trying to tie in, to your point, people that reinforce that idea, right? So, we're not trying to make a video to generally solicit everybody to move here, right? We're not trying to go to San Jose and say, hey, we got great remote work, come hang out here, but more kind of challenging people that, if you're this type of person, if you're a person that loves the environment, that loves adventure, that loves to be surrounded with, people that share same qualities, but also have these unique personalities, of course, appropriate unique personalities, that build this idea that Alpine lives in us. And really that is kind of the inspirational or aspirational challenge to those that could choose to work here versus choose to work somewhere else, or choose to live here or choose to live somewhere else. It's like, Alpine doesn't live in everybody, but for those of us all on this call, it lives in us. And we were probably born with it, and something happened and we finally found our way and we ended up here. So that's kind of the conversations that we had in that branding exercise and kind of the strategic development. So we're looking to highlight, a nice, variety of those types of individuals that reinforce those positive ideals, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and just real quick on that note. So for timeline, we're looking to start to get some shoots together here in the next month, and to highlight one individual who works at Kirkwood and lives on the Mesa with his fiance. And so looking to shoot that pretty soon. And then as we kind of start to move in towards the spring and the summer, highlight some of the other individuals that we're looking to highlight and kind of roll those out and cascade into one another, and to tie into kind of Becky's, overarching marketing efforts and their, kind of manifesto, as well as some of the county's, HR efforts is, trying to get some folks to work here that love this place. Cause I think we all know that, if you don't love Alpine, and you come to work for Alpine, it's almost like your days are numbered from the minute you step in. You really loving Alpine, I think is a critical piece.
As long as they can drive in the snow.
Are they Alpine?
All right.
Yeah, but those of us with common sense don't drive in the snow.
Smart man, Chris, me neither.
Okay. Where are we here? Any other comments or questions on the marketing campaign? No. Discussion and update on the 2022 Death Ride. I can take that one. We just learned recently that the Planning Commission has been moved forward. Their meeting for February will be moved to next Thursday, the 17th at 5 p.m. And that's when we'll be going in front of the Planning Commission with our request for approval for the special event permit for 2022. JT's office has been really helpful to me in this process and helping make sure that we have all of our documentation together. We have some great people contracted to help us roll out the work this year. And we are, again, I think I mentioned this last time, but we'll be pursuing the same course that the Planning Commission approved last year. There's just going to be some changes to where we're encouraging people to camp and some of that Turtle Rock Park vicinity, how we're going to manage the crowd right there. But other than that, for the most part, the ride is going to be just what the Planning Commission approved for 2021. We just didn't get our chance to test it yet. So that's really the biggest update I have on that. Question?
Excited. We're excited.
We are too. I'm pretty excited this year. I will say, I hope this isn't out of turn, but I will say we've gotten a lot of questions about where people are going to camp, and that's a big concern for a lot of people. And the local staff at the state park have been very supportive of what's going on with the ride this year, and they are working with their leadership on a special event permit to open up the park just for cyclists for a stretch of days leading up to and the day after the ride. So that could be a really good option for us if their leadership approves it. They have some concerns about not knowing if the hot springs and any other areas in the park are going to be open, but they felt like given this would be a very specific crowd, it would be easier to manage people staying where they're supposed to be for that period of time that they're staying there. So that was a really exciting option for us, that they were, at least the local staff anyway, were very, have been helpful and willing to help us move forward. So my fingers are crossed on that one too. I'm hopeful that we might know something before next Thursday, because their board was supposed to meet in February as well. So. Item 5, new business. David.
Wanted to run one thing by everybody. Talked a little bit about in the past about Eastern Sierra Sustainable Recreation Partnership. And one of its projects, which is on hold because of lack of funding and lacking of a lead agency, was the Eastern Sierra Byway, which came up US 395 from the south end of Inyo County up US 395 to Topaz. And I tried to get them to include, in if that project was going to go ahead, to include Monitor Pass, Highway 89 through Markleyville, Woodfords, up the Woodfords Canyon, over Luther Pass into the Tahoe Basin. There's a lot of history along that. There's a lot of interesting things that could be pointed out to people along the way. But that project is on hold and may never go ahead as such. The route I just described is a California scenic highway, but it may be helpful in terms of economic development, tourism, if we can upgrade it to a national scenic byway. The first box that needs to be checked on that is it a state scenic highway? And the answer to that is yes. So my understanding is, if I remember correctly from things that Jeff Schwein has said at the Local Transportation Commission, that there is funding available for that sort of thing. And just wanted to see if this is something that this committee thinks is at least worthwhile doing some preliminary investigation on, to see if it's something that the Local Transportation Commission, which is essentially the Board of Supervisors, should be pushed to follow up on.
So can I add something in there that it is already an Ebbets Pass National Scenic Byway from 89. Well, it goes all the way over the pass to Markleyville. So part of that section that you're talking about from 89 to Markleyville on wherever else you want to go is already an Ebbets Pass National Scenic Byway, that one section there.
Yeah.
And I was going to talk about that in the later items, but so just FYI on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can have two scenic byways in one section, just that section.
We might have two scenic byways with the Ebbets Scenic Byway in the middle. One for on Monitor Pass and one for Markleyville onto the Tahoe Basin.
Right.
I have a nerdy question. How many national scenic byways exist? Do we
You know, I used to know that. I don't know anymore because we got designated 17 years ago. You know, I was up on those stats a long time ago. I don't know. Michelle Plotnick could tell you. I can.
It's like 184 as of January 21st, 2021.
Okay.
That's from Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt.
JT, you were like 17 seconds ahead of me.
I knew I was racing someone.
So, and originally it was supposed to just go up to 89, and we extended it into Markleyville. That was, we got designated in 2005. So
I
think
like
it's a
the
great
idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm happy to put it on the agenda if that's the will of the group.
So what does it need, David? It needs a sponsor, basically, a lead agency.
Well, it'll involve working with Caltrans, District 10, and maybe even District 9 for the backside of Monitor Pass. The previous, I can't remember what they call whoever's in charge of each district, executive director or director for the district. The previous district director for District 10 was very enthusiastic. I don't know what the current director thinks about something like this. It'll involve quite a bit of time in terms of, I don't mean staff time, but in terms of length of time to get it through the process. It will have potential negative effects. If somebody wants to put up a big industrial facility within sight of the highway, the restrictions for a national scenic byway are stricter than they are for a state scenic highway. That's the only downside I can see. And having been involved in Alpine County for quite a while and having had to permit something in Alpine County many, many years ago, I can tell you that if you're close to a highway and it can be seen from a highway, there's a lot of pushback. So it's probably we're not giving up something that would come to pass anyways. It's how much would it be worth to our local businesses? It would attract a certain amount more traffic, but how much, I don't know. It probably would or could help in the arguments, maybe the wrong word, in the effort to convince Caltrans to keep highway monitor pass highway open in the wintertime. I don't have all the answers, but it's consistent with our us as a tourist economy. So
To me, my initial reaction is it feels like it's worth pursuing or at least investigating as many tools that we can put in our toolkit as possible. And that would be another tool in our toolkit. And I could see if we were successful, and I realize it would take time, but opportunities down the road to partner more with the Colville Chamber and the South Lake Chambers to do more scenic byway programming. That's just my initial thoughts, but I would like to know more information.
yeah, and I think that one of the things that would be the top of one of my list of sort of, how aggressive do we want to be on this would be, is my understanding correct from Jeff Schwein that there is funding available for something like this? Yeah. The general fund is not going to be able to afford it.
Question, Madam Chairman?
Yes, Chris.
David, your proposal is for, I can't remember the name, a cross monitor pass down to the intersection of Highway 4 and then pick up 89 again all the way through Markleyville to the Woodford's 88 junction. Is that correct?
And then up the Pony Express route, which is the Woodford's Canyon to Hope Valley, and then over Luther Pass into the Tahoe Basin.
And so your interest is to designate it as a national scenic byway?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Can you bring more information to our next meeting, David?
I don't have a lot more information.
Or what would our next step be then?
I think the next step is maybe to ask Jeff Schwein, depending on what JT thinks, to confirm if it's a possibility to get funding for something like this. And if the answer comes back yes, then maybe this committee could make a recommendation to the local transportation committee to take it up. But Terry's been through this process before, even though it was a long time ago.
Yeah, we started it in 2000. So a really good resource on this is Michelle Plotnick, Becky, because she's the one that led us through this. Besides some other folks that we used to have on the Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway before we were designated, she knows this inside and out. I mean, literally. So if you wanted to ask some questions on how to move ahead, I think she would be able to answer those for you.
Okay, JT, can we put that on the agenda then for next month or when we meet again so that
Absolutely.
I know what homework I need to do?
Do we want to reach out to, well, I can reach out to Jeff, obviously. But I'm sorry, what was that woman's name again? Terry?
Michelle Plotnick.
Do we maybe want to?
She's the one, you've been getting emails from her.
Oh, okay.
JT every month regarding the Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway meeting that you haven't been attending. So Becky attended and I thought it went really well. Yeah.
It's
So,
fun.
I need more
yeah,
of
so
me.
you got her contact information.
Yeah. Can we clone me? Is that okay?
Oh, by all means.
So there is a website, the National Scenic Byway Foundation, which has some
Yeah.
information on it that you might want to read. It's got training, events and advocacy, supporters, byway journeys, which is kind of nice. You can look at that, and membership and about us. So it says that there was $16 million dedicated, but it seems like it's after you have a route named that's available. That was in 2021, so fiscal year. So,
Yeah, and we were funded by federal highways, but a lot of the funding kind of dried up. So there isn't as much funding available as there used to be.
yeah, it did say that it was dry for a while, but they're refunding
Yeah.
it now, it looks like. So
Okay. So we'll do some homework then between now and the next meeting, and JT, if you can have it on the agenda to speak to.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything else under new business that any member wants to bring up? How about item 7, discussion of possible new business items for the next meeting?
No, how about informational items and member reports?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Thank you, Terry.
Okay, that's what I was going to talk about, the Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway. So we started meeting again. You know, we didn't meet during COVID pretty much. And 2 of our annual Hermit Fests, which were our annual fundraisers, didn't happen because of COVID. And so we are planning on, but just depends, for September 10th to be our next Hermit Fest. Now that depends also on, you know, if this does continue to be a drought year and the forest gets closed, you know, that might fall through. But anyway, that's our major fundraiser every year. And so we're looking to refresh people's interest in the Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway. And so we're talking about having an event on the west side and an event on the east side. And a west side event that we're talking about is June 12th, and it's going to be at Bryce Station Winery. We have the location free of charge because of the relationship between one of our, actually most of our members of the Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway. So we went and looked at the event area this last week, and it looked really great. But we want to pair up, and we were talking about leveraging, that word came up again, both sides, you know, to make this thing work out better, and looking at having an event on the east side. And we've talked about this before, but we really had very little support from the chamber, the former chamber, in the past. So Becky did attend our Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway meeting this last week, and we talked about, you know, some discussions, having some discussions on when an event would be good and where over in Markleyville area. So and just to get it out there, and we're just trying to figure out how to keep ourselves alive, because not having 2 years in a row without having fundraising or membership drives, you know, we're falling short of money to keep ourselves going, and we want to keep ourselves going. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
It was a great meeting, Terry, and it was really it really helped me understand a lot better too what the association is doing and kind of what your needs are. And
Yeah.
so I think I'm really hopeful that some good ideas will come, if not on Thursday afternoon at the meeting with some of the local businesses, but at least as people start to think about that. And like I said, I know I've heard so many times over the past 2 years, people wanting to have some music venues and some old car shows. And I just feel like there's got to be a way to pull it together.
Yeah, and one of our members has a real good link with music venues, because that's what he does. He puts music venues together over here. And so you heard him speak. He's got a lot of connections on the east side. So if we could get something together, that would be great. And also, I was looking for that that meeting link, if you could send that to me for Thursday,
yeah.
I'd love to attend. Yeah. Yeah, so
I will
that's
do that.
all I got.
Terry, I like the scenic National Scenic Byway website you guys have put together too. That's
Thanks.
Gotta get off.
Any other informational items or member reports? Let's see, David.
Oh, just following up what Terry was talking about, the two sites that just popped into my mind. One was Silver Mountain City and the
Yeah.
other is Centerville Flats, although the fire there, but there's much more room at Centerville Flat. The Washington Fire, it's not quite as pretty as it used to be, but there's lots of room for lots of people.
Yeah. And JT, you had your hand up.
I'm sorry, mine's for new business. It's just kind of a general conversation about meeting types moving forward.
Okay, so no other informational items or member reports? Nobody? All right, go ahead, JT.
So I don't know if this is the appropriate time to discuss it, but I would suggest that we move back to hybrid meetings now that our facilities have been reopened. They'll officially be reopened to the public starting Monday of next week, and staff's back in the office. So, I know it's not an action item, so I know we can't act on it, but that is going to be my recommendation.
Do we need to vote on that, or can we just do it?
I think we can just do it. I don't think you need a formal vote.
Okay.
You're the chair, Becky. You get the hammer.
That's all it is. It's just a mute button.
You're talking about hybrid though, so if I couldn't, so I don't have to drive over in the winter? Okay.
Yeah. So
Good.
it'll be hybrid still. So we'll just move the in-person location to CDA in the conference room, and I'll have that all on the agenda, but we'll still do the Zoom link as well. So it'll be a hybrid fashion.
Okay. And then I've got to leave. I've got a 3:30 meeting, and I need to take a quick little break before that meeting. So I just wanted to let you know I can't go much longer.
Thank you, Terry. Do we have any other items for the next meeting? We have until when, JT, to get those to you if we think of them?
I like them the Monday before the agenda goes out on Friday.
Okay.
So that would be, let me just get a date for you.
The 28th.
Yeah.
All right. And the next Economic Development Advisory Committee is scheduled for March 8th at 1:30 p.m.
Okay, I gotta go.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.